Hey everyone, welcome to monthly project number 29. The theme for this month is God of War, one of my absolute favourite game franchises, and the sequel has just came out, God of War Ragnarok. It is amazing. So let's check out some fan art from the art community over on my Patreon. And each month I pick 3 pieces of artwork to critique and give feedback on. So we're going to get into that toward the end of the video. So congratulations to Camille, Carl and Brat. And since we're on the theme of God of War, I thought I'd share my recent fan art piece that I just completed. And this is based off the new God of War Ragnarok game, Thor vs Kratos. I had a lot of fun with that. Alright, let's dive into some God of War fan art from my patrons. First up is Carl, and I really love the action pose in this, the intensity. Really well done. This is an absolutely awesome looking Kratos right here. I really love that energy. Well done. And next up is Eric, and you've done a beautiful piece here of Atreus holding his dying wolf Fenrir. I really love the emotion in this piece. You can really feel it. I think you've done a really good job of that. I really like the colors as well. Great work. And next up is William, and you've done Kratos here. I really love how stylized he looks. That's awesome. It's really standout work here. The vibrance of this piece is just absolutely popping. He's really well drawn. I love that line work. And I especially like the ice in the axe. That looks really good. Well done, William. Next up is Paul, and you've done Kratos and Thor in 2 separate pictures. I really love the likeness that you've got in these, and it's just really well drawn as well. I love those close-ups of their heads. Kratos especially is my favorite. Awesome work. Next up is Jeremy, and I really like your Kratos here. He looks great. I can see your style coming through, and I really like that. I love how you keep everything consistent. Those details are really great, especially in the fur, and I love how you can see Mimir popping out the side of his belt there. Looks really good. Well done, Jeremy. Next up we have Kayak, and you have done some really cool fan art here of Kratos and the big bear. I don't want to say too much about that. I don't want to reveal any spoilers, but I really love this piece. It looks awesome. I love that dynamic pose of Kratos especially coming toward us. Looks really cool. Love the background, the snow. That bear looks awesome too. Well done. Next up is Jason's artwork here, and you've got Mimir reading some books. I really like this for something different as well. Looks just like him too. Nice work there, Jason. Next up is Lucas, and you've drawn Kratos charging into action. I really like how you can see the Blades of Chaos, and you've also got the classic Leviathan axe. I really like how you've played around with some dynamic light here as well. You've got him mostly in shadow and some nice light coming from behind. You've also got a good glow coming from the weapons. Looks awesome. Next up is Sai, and you've done 2 pieces here, really big pieces of artwork. These look awesome, really good details there, in the hammer especially. I think my favourite is this one with Kratos. I just love that angle and the way he looks, just looks really well drawn. And I also love the other one's Rage, looks great. Next up is Paul, and you've done Kratos there, nice, tough attitude kind of pose there. That's really cool. I like what you've done, and you've got that logo. He's kind of standing through that logo. That's good. Good idea. Next up is the Gap 98. Sorry, that's the only name that came through in the email. But your Kratos is looking good. I like the way that you've got a bit of a blur in the background there, giving more focus to the character in the front. Nice work there. Yeah, keep it up. Next up is Virgilio, and you've got Kratos here. Wow, I can really feel the rage in this piece. Got the Blades of Chaos there. You've got that really kind of, exaggerated style of yours, which is really cool. Nice work. Next up is Brat. I really like the rage in this piece. It's really kind of animated as well. It's like super stylized, and yeah, I just really like the brutality of this. Absolutely epic work there, Brat. Next up is Joel, and you've submitted a sketch here. Very well drawn action scene here. This is really cool. Lots of details to look at. I like how you've done like an entire background as well. Swinging those Blades of Chaos, taking down an enemy. That's really cool. And next up is Gavin, and you've got Kratos absolutely owning Thor here. He's just swung out a massive punch. Really love the intensity of this piece. You can really see the rage in that facial expression as well, and the anger in Thor. That's brutal. Really cool work there. Alright, time for some critiques now. And we're going to start with Camille, and you've done Kratos here. A very detailed ink drawing. I like the amount of effort that you've put into all of these details and the armor, the clothing. I also really like the black shading that you've got under, you know, the heavy parts of those. It looks really cool. Overall, for a critique and some feedback, I think that the main issue here is proportions and some of the anatomy. I feel like the armor might have been drawn first before thinking about the anatomy underneath, and that's probably why some things might just look a little bit off, but let me show you what I mean. So I'm just drawing over, aiming for the same pose that you've got, and I really want this to, you know, be a good guide to kind of help structure your character to the correct proportions. So now that I've got my sketch over the top, you can kind of see, if I put the original over, you can see the kind of difference. I feel like the hips might be a bit too high, and there's not enough room for the torso or the abdomen area in here, and the chest. I feel like it's a little too compressed through this torso, so I've kind of stretched it out more, allowing more room for all of this area here. Yeah, so we're going to just do some changes, fix it up, because I really love this detail that you've got through all of this armor, and I just feel like if we get these proportions right, it's going to be super solid. So one by one, I'm going to get your sketch over the top and start to, you know, shape it all so it matches. So I feel like this blade really needs to be a lot bigger, because they're pretty big, those blades of chaos. And I'll put the other arm over the top now, and try and line it up with the one I've got there. And I'll just do some light warping, trying to match it to that body. I also feel like this arm here really needs to be curved upwards. So what I mean is, you know, we have to curve these chains wrapping around the contouring of the arm. Something like that, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot. So basically more of a curve around the arm, kind of like that, okay? Before it was just a little too flat. And the main band here that goes around the entire chest, it was really low before. It was almost a little bit too horizontal, whereas on Kratos it's supposed to be more diagonal. Especially over here, I've got another reference, and you can see that that's really diagonal across his chest. So that's what I'm aiming for as I do this one here. And I just adjusted the head, so I feel like it needed to be more structured in the way of a little more straight up and down. I felt like before it might have just been a little bit slanted this way, just the bottom half of it. And I think the eyes are a little too far apart, so I've just made some more cheekbone areas as well, so the cheekbone's a little more prominent. And I'm just changing the angle slightly of the head, so it looks more like, you know, it's a downward angle looking up. And if I just tilt this head just a little bit, I think it'll work a little better with the pose. So with this armor, you see here, so let's have a look at your original. I feel like it's just too flat coming down, whereas we want these layers. We really want to have them folding over each other and have this armor in broken up into layers. So let's try and do that. And I'm just going to add some like heavy shading underneath, something like that, and we'll do it again for this one down here. So, and then I'll have some of that fur coming up over here, try and get some sketchy fur. And I'm just going to rough in the rest of the proportions just so you can see. Alright, there we go. So before and after, you just see the kind of proportion changes I was talking about. I think it all just has something to do with the anatomy underneath. I feel like that needs to be structured first, just laid out. Even if it's a rough sketch like this, that'll give you a really good understanding of where to layer all of the armor over. Everything else is just an add-on after that, and you just pile all the armor and all the clothing on top of the anatomy, and that will help you a lot. So here's your before and after. So mainly with this armor here, layering it really thick off that shoulder, I feel like that's going to change it a lot. Yeah, because you've got a really good sketch here. I really like your detailing, and the only thing this needs is definitely just a structure change. The only other thing I would do is try and keep it consistent with your lines on the outside. So this is really thin here, and then you've got these thick bolder ones, and then really thin again. On the outside, let's try and hold a character together with some lines. You know, just keep them consistent all the way around. You can still taper lines off thin to thick, but I would recommend making sure that the outside of a character is still held together nicely. But really good work there, Camille, and yeah, I hope that helps. Awesome work. Next up is Carl, and you've done Kratos as well, and I really like the rage in this. And you've got a really unique style. It's very stylized and energetic. I like the way this works, so good coloring too. I think the main thing we're going to need to focus on here is some of these proportion adjustments just in the anatomy and the way those muscles are working now. So I'm just going over your drawing, but I'm keeping the lines really thick and bold so you can see. I'm trying to adapt to your style basically, and this is probably how I would approach it anatomy wise when you're doing something super stylized like your style. So if you have a look around this area around the waist here, and I'll just go to the original and zoom in, I feel like these parts here, they're kind of coming out this way a little too much, whereas we want to kind of keep that V shape. If I just zoom out, you want to keep like a V shape like that, and then down, that kind of thing, which is kind of what I've tried to do right here. I just really want to avoid that kind of look there, so we want to kind of go more straight down. The other thing I really want to point out is the armor here. We need to really have that just bulging right out and layering right over, kind of like this. You see you've got big shadows there, and you can nearly see just right under that armor. So I really want to have that kind of lifting right off his arm. We need to focus on the contouring around the bicep, because that bicep is kind of coming towards us a little bit more, especially this arm with the chains wrapped around it. The contouring would be more like this, like coming directly at us. You've got to think of a tube or a cylinder that's going to be pointing directly towards you, kind of like that. So if you look at the original, I feel like they're just almost sideways and they're not really coming towards us. So that's something that I would really focus on there as well, trying to really get those to wrap around those arms. I like what you've done with the face. I think that's really cool and stylized. I think there's just a couple of little things that might need some tidying up, and I've just redrawn over the face a little bit more just to show you. And I feel like the eyes, like the pupils, they kind of just need to go in the same direction a little bit. They're close, they really are close. I just wanted them to kind of look up a little bit more. So I've got that really tucked up, the top kind of looking where they're meant to go there. I tidied up the nose just a little bit more. I felt like before it was just needed a little bit of tidying there. And the teeth as well, I kind of, you're very close. I kind of prefer teeth when there's not too much kind of detail going through the front. It makes them seem a little brighter or something rather. You can have more detail as they fold over backwards into space. They're kind of more outlined here and here. But when you get to the front, I don't really put many outlines and detailing there. So, I mean, that's just a personal choice. I also kind of had that lip kind of come back down and wrap around more and pop out, and I feel like that might help a little bit more with detail there. And the way the nose, Kratos usually has a little bump at the top of his nose there, so I kind of added that in. Yours was a little smooth there, and I added that little bump there. So yeah, I like the style that you've got. It's really cool, and hopefully these outlines and seeing that kind of structure can help structure him out a little bit more and get that anatomy right, those proportions there. And just one more note would be, if I was going to get this blood, if I was going to do this blood, I would probably outline the blood as well. I feel like the style is too different to the style you've got here. You want to keep it all tie in together. The styles need to match. So I would probably put some black outlines around these, at least the blood there, and I think that'll be all right. So yeah, I hope that helps, Carl. Awesome work there, and I can't wait to see what else you do. So yeah, good work, awesome. Next up is Brat, and you've done this awesome piece here from God of War 3. I remember this fight between Hades and Kratos there. So I really want to dive into this one. I love what you've done here. He looks awesome. This is a really good piece. One of the main things I think I'm having a problem with is it's too panoramic for what it is, and it's too cropped in. I feel like we need to rearrange these characters so that it looks more appealing. So what I've done is I've changed the dimensions of the actual piece. I've got Kratos here separated. Let's see what we can do if we rearrange. And here's Hades here. I might do, like, I'm thinking I might angle him down a little bit more. Bring him in towards, you know, a more interesting spot. Maybe there. And I might get Kratos. Even angle him a little bit more dramatic. Because I'm thinking that by tilting this a little bit more and having Kratos higher than Hades kind of makes Kratos look a little more heroic, and it almost looks like he's got the advantage and he's, you know, kicking ass basically. And I know we're losing this back one, but sometimes, you know, pictures will work out better if you just sacrifice a few different things. I'm probably going to try and stretch it out so you can see the weapon here though, so don't worry too much. There we go. I think something like that might work. And all I want to do now is put a nice glow behind Kratos. Really make him pop again, just like you had before, basically. So really want to lift him off Hades a little bit. So what I've done is I've just got a layer underneath Kratos, set to screen. And now it's just about, you know, really putting some light behind him. Even over that weapon there. You can see I've tried to add that weapon in so you can still see it. There we go, you see what I mean? I've just done a bit of the smoke, well, I've attempted to do the smoke around the edges there. Around the back, I mean. Some like smoke effects and stuff like that, but now we have them kind of clashing a little bit closer. I feel like it's just working a little more. And I really feel like it's, you know, it's more intense in a way. I think that Hades just needs another glow behind him as well, so I'll just quickly put like a bit of a red. He needs more of a red glow, I reckon. It only has to be subtle, just like that. I really felt like we needed to see more of his spikes, like silhouette him a bit more, so it just pops out a little more. But yeah, that's really all I recommend. Here we go. I'll just show you. So this is the composition I'd recommend. You see the kind of shape that we would want there, more of a poster shape. This was too panoramic, I think. So that's your original there. And then after, so really bringing them in together a little bit more, I think, is very important. Get that clash, more intensity. Yeah, that's great. I think that's all that really needs. I'd only make a couple of little proportion changes. Lift that pec up more, a lot more shadow underneath the pec there, but because this arm's kind of lifting, and a little less shoulder, so have the shoulder start about there. And a little less neck muscle as well. I feel like that neck muscle of his is a little too big and thick, so have it about there. But yeah, so more of this pec. See how the shoulder is just as big as the pec there. We need to kind of make sure that the shoulder starts about, yeah, up a bit higher, probably there. I just love this. I think Kratos looks awesome, absolutely epic. So yeah, again, so before and after. Don't be afraid to cross characters over each other. You know, especially if they're in a fight like this, you really want to make it feel like more of a clash. And now we can see more of Kratos' pose. Alright, Brat, I hope that helps. Awesome work, and yeah, keep it up. Alright, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed doing those critiques. Hopefully that helps you in some way, even just watching as I go. And you all did an absolutely amazing job, everyone who submitted some art. So yeah, well done everyone. And for anyone new, feel free to jump on board my Patreon. You can be a part of these monthly projects and more. I release tutorials every fortnight, and it's a lot of fun just to join the art community. So it's great for any artist. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next monthly project.
that our voice ends?